Star Wars Celebration. The biggest event for Star Wars fans in the world. And this year it was in Japan. I live in Japan, so of course I had to go. I was looking forward to this for a very long time. I was excited for the big announcements, maybe some celebrity sightings, take a look at the cool stuff that they had, meet and talk to like-minded individuals, and just really soak it all in. But the event wasn't really what I expected. And to be honest, towards the end, I didn't really enjoy myself. Let me explain. But first, let's talk about the positives. The anticipation leading up to this event was an experience within itself. I'm a father with a wife, 2 kids, work full time. I don't ever have really any time to myself. But the fact that I was able to save the day and go to this thing was absolutely amazing. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning to catch a 5:10 train. Makuhari Messe Convention Center is about 2.5, give or take, hours from where I live. I wanted to get there at 7:30 to get in line, so that when I entered the convention center, I was able to go directly where I wanted to go. I had my bag all packed and everything, with my laptop just in case I needed it, my lightsaber of course, some interview equipment, just a simple mic and a cable for my phone, and that was about it. The train ride there was easy, smooth, and simple. I was able to get a seat, which is really rare. If you've ever traveled or if you live in Japan or Tokyo, you know how crazy those trains can get. But at 5:10 in the morning, not bad. The other reason I wanted to get there early is because once I got into the convention center, I wanted to go in the standby line because me and a friend were trying to see if we could get into the Mandalorian and Grogu announcement on the main stage. We weren't able to reserve our passes since they sold out pretty quick, so this was our only opportunity. Everyone from all around the world being there and their cosplay, the conversations that were being having in line, like it was electric. Like, these are my people. At one point, right before I even got into the convention center, Hayden Christensen actually stepped out of a vehicle and he waved at everyone that was waiting in line. Unfortunately, I was a split second too late to actually capture the moment, but it was still cool seeing him in person. I've actually met Hayden Christensen before, and Ewan McGregor for that matter, but that's a tale for another video. Finally, we get inside. Lightsaber in hand, just absolutely amazing. The decorations, the way they set everything up was pretty great. It was very phenomenal, and there were some really cool cosplay people right when you entered. Didn't get that good of a video of them, but one of them was dressed up as the characters from the Ronin animated short from the Visions, the first season of Visions, which was really cool. So the vibes were there, like we're all feeling it. Met my friend, stood in the Mando line, standby line, and it was creeping forward a little bit. We really didn't think that we were going to get in since it was full, but by the force itself, we actually got into the event.
They're letting us in. We freaking got a no reservation. Let's freaking go. This is awesome.
Yeah! Woo! It was so sick. Walking into that event hall and seeing just the energy and everyone on this main stage setting was just something that you only get when you go to like a concert of like a band that you really like, or, you know, any kind of big event for that matter. It was awesome. So the main stage, they started announcing everything. First, they started off with this really cool like montage. Now, you guys have probably seen it on the Star Wars social media accounts, and in person, it just hit me at a level that I wasn't ready for. The anticipation leading up to the event, the energy in this room was just amazing. I don't know what else to say. And the montage was made for Star Wars fans of all the best moments. That brought a tear to my eye. I was hyped. The first thing they announced was the new Starfighter movie that they're going to be making, starring Ryan Gosling. To be honest, I mean, I really couldn't care who the actor was, but seeing Ryan Gosling in some roles in the past, like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie Drive, but I love that. So I can kind of see maybe where his kind of persona and his acting ability could come into play in like a cool dogfighting, like Top Gun-ish, like Starfighter kind of thing. Now, a Starfighter movie is something that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. The reasons why I really enjoyed like the Return of the Jedi and Rogue One was for the epic space battles. Like, don't get me wrong, like everything else about those movies is amazing, but just seeing like space battles and dogfights and like big frigates going at it, like, oh my God, amazing. Not to mention like the opening scene of like Revenge of the Sith. Like, that is like one of the greatest one-shots in film history, if you ask me, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. Speaking of one-shots, I completely forgot to talk about the whole reason that we were there was to see the whole Mandalorian Grogu announcement. This one-shot was pretty cool. We got to see this exclusive clip before they uploaded it on their socials. Don't get me wrong, it was cool to see in person, but, you know, kind of after the sour taste that was left in my mouth with Mandalorian Season 3, it is what it is, but being there in person was definitely worth it. So we left the main stage. Everything was electric. It was super hype. The energy was high. Star Wars fans were rejoicing. But after this is where things started to take a turn. Now let's talk about the negatives. The amount of people there was just astronomical. There was some moments where I felt like I couldn't even breathe. After we got out of the main stage, we wanted to get some food. So we kind of beelined it right over there just to go check out the food vendors. The food vendors that were inside the convention center are where the cool collaborative Star Wars themed meals were. The line was just absolutely long and massive and just a sea of people. Even to the point where there was so many people that they were making an announcement like they're out of food. So we couldn't even experience that. Okay. So after we bailed on getting food because they ran out, we said, let's go to the cantina stage. Yeah, so just to clarify, this is actually the Twin Suns stage. So when I recorded this, it was a little bit of a mistake. We called it the cantina stage when we were there, but it's actually the forge that the blacksmith would use in The Mandalorian, so I apologize. So whenever you hear me say cantina, I mean Twin Suns. My bad. The cantina stage, you've probably seen a lot of YouTube or social media clips where it's the stage where they're sitting down, it's like an interview style, and just surrounded by a sea of people. While we were waiting in line for the food, before we even knew they were out, Hayden Christensen was actually on that stage being interviewed and interacting and talking to the fans. Now, of all the people that were there, of all the celebrities that were there, I would have loved to see that. Maybe we made a bad choice, but we missed out on that opportunity. Don't get me wrong. Like seeing Pedro Pascal, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, Sigourney Weaver, that stuff was pretty cool. So when we got to the cantina stage, there wasn't any cool interviews going on. So we're like, all right, well, let's go do something else because I don't really want to hear about the expansion for Star Wars Outlaws. No, thanks. So we thought, all right, well, let's go check out some of the toys, some of the merch that they have, see what's going on. And the lines for that were massive too. Not that I was really going there to purchase a lot of merch. I've gotten some cool merch in the past at the Tokyo Comic Cons that I've been to in 2022 and 2023. So I was okay on the merch and stuff. But even if I wanted to get an up close look or get a chance to buy something that caught my eye, I would have been waiting in line for over an hour. That I'm not really that big of a toy collector. I don't really have space to collect things. I mean, I've got 2 of my 3 lightsabers up there and some cool Micro Machine stuff that I'll show you guys another time, but yeah, nah. So then at that point, my friend and their significant other wanted to kind of go do their own thing. And I personally wanted to do my own thing. Like I said, I brought some microphones. I wanted to film some content. This would be a great opportunity, I thought. But then I slowly began to realize that I actually have huge social anxiety. It's interesting because amongst my friends and at work and all that, and even in school, I was always a class clown. I don't mind eyes being on me. I don't mind being center stage. I've done plays, I've done performances and stuff when I was a lot younger. I used to be in marching band. We did big marching band competitions and I had no problem being in the spotlight. But being in that sea of people and wanting to go up and talk to somebody and interview them just felt like a super daunting task. So obviously this is probably a personal problem, but this kind of detracted from what my overall experience was going to be. And it wasn't a language barrier thing either. I was prepared to do interviews in English. I was prepared to do interviews in Japanese. もう日本語でインタビューもできますし、それが問題ないだと思うんだ。なんだけど、それで何もできなかった。So then I found myself being in a slump. I had all this interview equipment, 2 mics, my phone, kind of like a cool presentation for how I was going to do the interview by passing one of those communicators from episode 1. Anyone that grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, you know what I'm talking about. I also wore some clothes that I was hoping was going to be a conversation starter, like this really cool Darth Maul shirt that I got from Tokyo Comic Con. So actually I found myself exiting the convention center and just getting a breath of fresh air just to kind of cool down and wind down from the massive sea of people. And there were so many cool cosplays and so many people that I wanted to talk to, but I just couldn't do it. So I wandered around and I checked a couple of things. There was a really cool anime section that was all about Star Wars Visions that I checked out. There was also a cool art exhibit that I wanted to see, but the line for that was pretty long too. And mind you, I was only able to go on Friday opening day. I couldn't go the other days. So I spent a lot of time kind of reflecting about my feeling and how I felt like I failed myself. Like I really wanted to do this thing, but I just couldn't get the balls to do it. So I decided to get some food because I was getting a little bit hungry. And now, mind you, this is about the afternoon now. I had been wandering around for like 2 hours wanting to talk to somebody and just couldn't do it. So outside of the convention center, there was actually food trucks that you could go get various different foods. They weren't Star Wars themed or anything, but still good nonetheless. This sounds super basic, but when you live in Japan and you don't really have access to a lot of foods that some comfort foods that you may have like back in America or in any other Western countries, I wanted to get a kebab. I went over to the counter. I told the guy what I wanted. Kebab shitotsu kudasai. I went to go grab the kebab and I fucking dropped it. To be fair, the paper and the balance of which that the kebab was in, like I thought it was going to be more wrap, but that shit was like literally like, if this is the wrapper, like the kebab was already like sticking out of it. And it's like a half cut sandwich like kebab. So not like a wrapped one. So anyway, so I dropped that shit. Luckily they were really nice and they just gave me a new one, but you know, that kind of like added on to the downward spiral of what I was experiencing. So then I was looking around outside to see if there's anybody that I could interview, and I still couldn't do it. So then I told myself, you know what? I'm going to go back into the convention hall. I'm going to go check what's going on and see what's up. So I went through security, and I had no problem going through security and everything. But security had this thing to where like when you would go through the metal detectors, they would put like a little zip tie on your lightsaber just so that you wouldn't have to continually check it over and over again. So once you had the zip tie, that means like, okay, you're good, just go through. But I didn't want to walk around with a zip tie on my lightsaber because it's beautiful and I want people to enjoy it for what it looks like and what it is. So I was walking, took out the blade, I took the zip tie off, and in that process, I dropped my fucking lightsaber. I can't believe it, I dropped this shit. Luckily, the damage was minimal, but still, I just felt absolutely defeated at this point. My wife was also supposed to go with me, so at least I had somebody there that we could kind of cruise around and enjoy the event together with, but she had to back out at the last minute, which was really unfortunate. So I didn't really have anybody to help me out with the interviews or anything, and I didn't want to ask my friend to see if they wanted to help me, because then that would take away from the time that they had as well. And I think I also just didn't really understand the convention culture. Like there were people talking to each other, people were giving each other stickers and stuff like that. And like, I just had no idea what was going on and I felt completely out of my element. With that being said, I actually left like 2 hours early because I just felt defeated. My back hurt because I carried all this shit from the interviews I wanted to do, but never actually did. And like, you know, maybe I put all my eggs in one basket, but this is something that I really wanted to experience, and I just kind of shit the bed, I guess. If you don't want to stand in line for hours trying to buy something expensive, if you don't want to pay exuberant amounts of money to take a picture or get an autograph with a celebrity, then that kind of really took away from all the things that you could do at Star Wars Celebration. Yeah, there were some booths and stuff where you could experience like Vader Immortal and the Quest, stuff, and there was some things to look at. But for people that maybe just wanted to go there and just really feel the vibes of like Star Wars and stuff, yes, they were there, but I don't think it really hit. At least for me, it didn't. Maybe this is just like a personal preference, but I feel like they should have included a lot more things for people to experience outside of waiting in lines and paying money. Like for instance, back in 2019, there was something really cool that came to Tokyo. It was called Star Wars Identities. At Star Wars Identities, they brought concept art, all the original props and artifacts and models and stuff that you saw in the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy. I think they had some sequel trilogy stuff, but I wasn't really that interested in it. Seeing the original Yoda puppet from Empire Strikes Back, seeing the concept art of Luke Skywalker, of Darth Vader, seeing the original armor of Boba Fett, battle droids, C-3PO, the Millennium Falcon model that they use in The Empire Strikes Back. They had a whole diorama of like a Rebel Armada versus like an Imperial Armada. We're talking the big capital ships, the Mon Calamari, the Star Destroyers, the shuttles, Boba Fett's Slave One, snow speeders. They had it all. The original props, the original models that they used in the movies. Not to mention there was a really kind of fun like interactive thing where you could kind of create your own character. You could choose from like a different race. I chose a Twi'lek, my wife, because she's a short Japanese. My wife chose an Ewok, and you could basically go through the event, experience all these things, go to these little hubs, scan the card, the little wristband that you had, make decisions. And depending on the decisions that you made would actually determine at the end of it whether you are a Jedi or a Sith. And that was really cool. Why wouldn't they have that kind of stuff at Star Wars Celebration? Why is everything melted down to just meeting celebrities, standing in line for toys, standing in line for like food? There needs to be more of a variety for different Star Wars fans, for different people, for different walks of life, showing the history of the movies, the real spirit of everything. Like, being able to see that in person was way more powerful than anything that I had experienced at Star Wars Celebration. So in my eyes, Star Wars Identities was the far superior event. Now, you can take this as you want. These opinions are my own, and obviously there are a lot of things that were my fault. For someone that is relatively outgoing, I probably should have gone into this event just soaking it all in, talking to people if I wanted to, not feeling that there was like this expectation that I need to interview people or force myself to talk to people. And maybe I would have enjoyed myself. Maybe the whole entire experience would have been different. But this was the experience that I had, and I can't be the only one that kind of felt this way. So unless you're like a toy collector or anything like that, like there really wasn't much to do. And I'm not that big on seeing celebrities that much. They're just regular people. And even if you take photos with them, I mean, we're talking like a split second. In conclusion, I feel that there are a lot of ways that this event could have been a lot better. And possibly how I went from a high down to a low during the event kind of played an effect on my overall experience. Maybe my expectations were too high. Maybe I expected more out of Star Wars. Maybe I did put all my eggs in one basket, but that's for you guys to decide. Would I go to Star Wars Celebration again? I would. I believe it's going to be in Anaheim or Los Angeles in 2027, and hopefully I can make it out to America to check it out. And I'll probably do things a little bit differently next time. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. And remember, may the Force be with you. Peace.